I think that he's on the way there, but the animals are lying up in the dam, very visible from the sand. The dam.
It's telling me that's the one that's injured, so we can't really see him from this angle. But we're up on the dam wall, so we've got a little bit of a view down over them. I thought I'd start off over here, and we might pop around the front of them, especially if they get up or do something. But it might be quite interesting a little bit later, once the sun heads towards the horizon. Maybe they'll get up and give us a roar or something like that. Might be quite nice. Okay, these lines are very flat. I think we need to move on and find some other animals. Oh, hello. Is he waking up, or is he just going to roll over? Go on. Oh, look at that fat belly. That's a big stretch. Oh, wow. That was quite difficult. Okay, let's...
Long ago, these lines before vehicles, game drive vehicles, brought in the area. Once they see vehicles, they will run away. Because the farmers that used to come here in winter, 40 years back, they used vehicles to shoot them. So they know that once the vehicle has to run, if they see human being on foot, they used to stand and nothing to fear, because it's not going to do anything bad to them. So view lions on foot in 40, 50 years from not far. You can see you, but they won't attack you. They know that it's peaceful. But now, it's vice versa, because of poaching and all that. Lions, they know that once the human being is on foot, it's going to do something bad in their life. They have to do something. As using to stand up, they associate you with danger, and then they run away or do something. But if you come with vehicle, just chill out. They won't even stand. I mean, look at the vehicle. Just lie down. These birds have been away, like many have, it was years around here for 5 years, full time. They were dominant males in the air. They're still, but now they've expanded that area and more to the south. It's only today, in the last 2 months, they are racing them around. But there's a new blood in the area, the new 3 young males. They call them avoca males. We call them calab, and they lose position because once they get old, the deer too big, and they start not to hunt very well and be successful. What will happen? The bacteria of TB is going to multiply in the body system, and they're going to be weak. pride because they have history in the area. Birmingham's cubs already and now sub-adults. Even if they get kicked out by these young men, there's nothing to fear from the pride because normally lions what happens is they get challenged while they still have young cubs in the pride. You know, you need a new blood that comes in to take this cubs. All our pride are in the area except this pride. Djuma pride, Talamati pride, Turkish pride, the cubs are already reaching the sexual maturity. And it means the young male that comes in the area is more interested in mating. Unless it is a young male in the pride, there is the trouble. Because definitely they kick out those young males and start to wander around inside their mother. They might come back later on or whatever, but they will live this young life. The young males will go. As I'm saying, all our pride knows except the fixed pride. Fixed pride is the pride that in history they were at Mala Mala, but they have a piece of a total, area, they intersect, area with other pride called women's. They overlap of the area, in and out. But the basically more to the south of our property. They do come in our property, not that much often to be in the area, but we do see them sometimes around here. They have small cups, but then yes, it is a trouble. These young men are vocal if they're in the area. If they come across that pride, they kill those youngsters. And that's going to be the case. It's nature, you cannot complain about that. The young men, they have a high to say that, and they are really, really no fun. No fun for the country. Last year, you guys have been here last year, right? 2 years back. You have seen this in here. They're still alive. But they're a little bit naughty. They're extending their territory to the south. Yes. In 8 months back, there were lots of cats around in the area. Although, for the last 2 years, there was a big drought in the area. Where a number of cats were killed. What must have been disease? So when they make them well, there's no grass. Impala are not healthy. Buffalo are not healthy. All the primary consumers are not healthy. That will affect a lion. So we have lost a few cats around the area due to the drought. And now they are looking
Everyone, this is now from a sleeping buffalo to some sleeping lions. A very sleepy, lazy afternoon, isn't it? But it's always worth our while to come down here next to Vuyatela Dam. And if these lions decide to get up a little bit later, well, we'll be right here. I think we're going to sit with them a little while. Maybe we'll get lucky and they roar. That will be fantastic to get on camera. And, well, we could have any of the other predators coming down for a drink. There's been lots of activity with the leopards around. They'll obviously be very cautious with these lions here if they spot them. Now, I have to say that the origin of white lions, or leucistic lions as they are better known as, is actually just a genetic variation. So it's like, it's not albinism, because they do normally have blue eyes, so they do have pigment. It's just very low in pigment. So it's a very rare genetic variation. They are not created by man. They do occur naturally, and they, I think, naturally in the Timbavati area of Thorny Bush type area in the Kruger National Park is where we have naturally occurring leucistic lions, and there are still some around at the moment. There's not a lot of them, and the genetics says that there will be, the ratios is probably 1 in like 20,000 or something like that. But the variation still exists naturally, and it's not anything produced by man. What we do now is we like that trait because they've got blue eyes and very light fur, almost white. So it makes for very nice photography and photos. So I know, I managed a game reserve down in the Eastern Cape which had exactly that. They had introduced a couple of leucistic lions because it was very photogenic, and so drew a lot of tourists who paid a lot of money. But it wasn't like they were in camps or anything. They were left free on the natural reserve, but they were brought in for their aesthetic value and photogenic quality. But they do occur naturally. It's quite similar to that of the king cheetah, which is also a genetic variation. It's exactly the same species, just slightly different color patterns, and also being bred because of that difference there. They do occur naturally. Quite similar to that of the king cheetah, which is also a genetic variation. It's exactly the same species, just slightly different color pattern. It's a very gnarled battle axe type looking male lion this is. Okay, so you guys saying that this is Tino, huh? Good. Good. I hope that they get up soon and give us a show. And in Shluko. Okay. That's good. So we've got the names here. Well done, everyone. Thanks for your input. That's what it's all about. You see, they've got the start of black manes as well. There's every possibility they're becoming a little bit more active. Let's hope that they start yawning soon and stretching. There's every chance that they might. But this is the time of day you want to be around lions, because they could be waking up soon, roaring, marking, spraying, scratching, drinking, doing all of that. We can only hope. At the moment, they're just like twins with their legs like that. Kathy, with the Birminghams being back, well, those evokers are going to have to be careful, aren't they? Because I'm putting all my money on these battle-hardened males chasing those evokers for cover as soon as they realize what's going on, and that the evokers have been pushing in here, because they're still budding youngsters and not battle-hardened like these guys are. So my money's on them 100%. I think you wouldn't get too much money from the bookies if you bet on the Birminghams against the Evokers, I would say, because if you know anything about these guys, you would say that they're going to send those Evokers packing. But it will be interesting. I mean, we can think that, but you never know. You never know. The wildlife has a way of surprising you. Who knows? Maybe those youngsters are just in the right time, the right form of their life. I just have my doubts. I think these guys are way too strong and battle-hardened for them. Right, I'm not going anywhere. We're going to stay here and see if this does get a little bit more exciting. But in the meantime, off to Brent, and let's see how his wild dog search is still going, if he is still searching. I think that was Nsuku, the one lying on that side, and the other one being Tinyo. So Nsuku means gold, and Tinyo means tooth. So the two that we have here, was it? I think it was Tinyo and Nsuku that you guys said, yes. I'm still working out how to identify them, but the Birmingham boys consist of 4 males. So the 2 that are missing, that are not here at the moment, is Nena, which means warrior, and Mfumo, which means authority. So there's those two not here. But Birmingham boys, they're called such because they were born in 2013 on the farm Birmingham in the Timbavati. So that's quite a way from here. So they've travelled quite a long distance to obviously come through here and dominate the Styx and Nkuhuma prides. Now I wonder with their travels down south from here, where and who they have been dominating. Must be other females there. I'm sure Brent knows, but I'm still catching up with all the information. So we're still sitting, waiting, hoping for them to roar and give us a show. But in the meantime, off to the bushwalk team. Something exciting over there.
Behind the hats, we've got Alicia and Geraldine, who've been jogging outside the reserve. Jerry's bad driving. She nearly ran into me. No, Jerry definitely nearly ran into me. Did you have a good run, Geraldine?
It was very productive.
No, it doesn't. It looked like you might have taken some apple juice and sat on the road rather than actually gone for a run. You just put exercise clothes on. Well, David, she nearly drove over you there.
Have you found a leopard yet?
No, they're all gone to the north.
Wow.
And there are wild dog tracks all around here. That's what we've been looking for. Alicia!
Why? Why must you do this? Why must you?
Because people...
Look at Herbie. Look how sweet he is. Herbie.
Okay, guys. You may pass. Don't stall, Jerry, don't stall!
Well, all they've done for now is breathe and roll a little bit. Oh, there's a bit of movement. Hello. Come on, give us a stretch. A wonderful black mane, that. Very much like the Kalahari black-maned lions that we find in the desert. A very distinctive sort of genetic line, that as well. Those completely black manes. This is just getting a little bit darker around the bottom, but the Kalahari maned lions, it's completely black. And I think it has a lot to do with the area that they're in that desert type conditions, absorbing a lot of the light, I would say, because you have a lot of reflection off the rocks and so on. And so I think it's, dual purpose. Not only is it make them look mean and nasty, but it also, I'm sure, has an effect with the heat and the light in the sort of arid regions, because that's where you find the black-maned lions. Minamu, it's generally the males that have the, it's always the males that have the mane, because mostly to protect them when they're fighting between each other. So the male lions, they are sort of, through evolution, designed to fight with other males, and also obviously with that in mind, they need to look big and authoritative, and also to protect their neck area. So that's what it's all about. Males are designed for fighting, females designed for hunting and stealth. So they are real hunting machines, whereas males are real fighting machines. And it's not to say that males can't hunt. They're just not as good at concealing themselves and getting up close to animals without them knowing. But once the females have potentially grabbed a big prey like a hippo, or even going as far as elephant or giraffe or buffalo, and the male gets in the mix, well, it just makes that job so much easier, because he can bring it down virtually on his own. I saw a male lion bring down a giraffe over a ton in Etosha National Park in Namibia. Now, as the sun starts setting and we wait for these lions to get up and give us a show, let's head on over to Steve with that beautiful sunset. They're still just breathing, but Brent is absolutely correct when he says that you don't want to be part of the food chain, because lions during the day, I wouldn't even have a problem walking near to lions during the day, but at night they're a completely different beast altogether, and so you need to be very cautious and not stay out after dark. And that goes for hyenas, lions. It's almost like, as the saying goes, they grow another leg. And it's quite strange, because at the moment we're hearing a lot of alarm calls. Now, whether or not it's just that these animals in the area have just realized that there's lions here, or if there's leopard around, or if there's potentially another 2 lions making their way down. So there has been quite a bit of calls, and especially from the wildebeest, which are just opposite us on the bank, where we can't see them but we can hear them. They have been grazing there the whole afternoon, though. It would be rather silly of them if they haven't realized that these lions are here now. But the trouble is that sometimes one animal alarm calls, and then the rest of them just alarm call because one of them did. So it's a classic case of allelo-mimetic behavior, copycat behavior. Somebody does something, we all just follow him. We don't really know why. It's almost like sheep. But this impala looks like he might be wanting to come down for a drink. I'm sure he'll also get a bit nervous if he sees these lions next to the pan. Jamie, I haven't heard any news of the Nkuhumas. Brent is a good one to ask for that. I'll ask him a little bit later. He's got his informers all around here. I don't really know too many people in this area. I do try and get information from some of my ex-students that work on some of the lodges around here, that I trained some of them or did part of their training with them. But I haven't heard anything of the Nkuhumas recently. But this is fantastic news that the Birminghams are back here. And that's Djuma Lodge in the background that you just saw. And these two still fast asleep. Not a worry in the world. Even when all the animals were alarm calling, you know, you very often have, when the leopards are around and the animals start alarm calling, they very often run away and get away from the animals giving away their position. But lions, they don't care. They just carry on snoozing. Wonderful to see, though. And that is the ideal or the utmost best way to chill. They are chilling hard. You can't chill any harder than that. That is very relaxed. Michael, it all depends on what they eat, in terms of how much they must eat a week. So if they get something nice and big like that Bboy, the buffalo just downstream from where we are, that could set them up for a good part of 2 weeks. Also depending on how many mouths they feed. So it all depends on how much they eat, but a small feed like eating a warthog, they could eat every day. But something nice and big like a buffalo, that could last them up to 2 weeks. So, and then you've obviously got all the ratios of the different animals in between. If they get a kudu or if they get a zebra, obviously that's going to give them quite a nice lengthy period. I had one pride of lions in Etosha National Park on a giraffe, pardon me, and they stayed there for 2 weeks. In the end, it was not very nice near to where they were eating. It really stank. But, well, the protein was still alright for them and they just kept feeding on it. So, yeah, eventually it is, I think they can also leave it if they're not finishing it, because it can be getting really, past its sell-by date. It's probably only good for vultures and hyenas with their very acidic stomach. But lions can handle relatively decomposed meat as well. It probably makes it easier to digest, I would imagine. But don't often see them worrying too much about the age of the meat and how old it is and how much it stinks. They still get stuck in. But yes, they are sleeping for now. We still just hope that the show is imminent. And while we wait, off to Steve and see if he's got anything imminent. Okay, everybody, sorry, we are bundu bashing a little bit because we've got monkeys that are going nuts just near to us. But I've decided we just came just directly towards where the monkeys were calling, but it's getting a little bit thick here. So we're not going to continue just bundu bashing there, both for the sake of the vegetation and for the vehicle, so we're going to have to head back and try and hit the road. I'm pretty sure it's a leopard. It's either that or another couple of these lions, maybe the other two that are missing. So we're just going to drive over a little bit of these fallen logs here, and I'm going to go back to the road, back past those lions. You can just go over this dead branch, and then back up there. Just listen for a second. I'm pretty sure it's a leopard that is very close here. So we're right near to this, but unfortunately the bush is too thick for us to get through here. And it's right next to the lodge. I'm pretty sure it might be at that Gallagher pan. So we're going to try and loop around and just try and catch up and see if we can get there. They're still going crazy, and that is definitely a predator. I go left here. Hello everybody, yes, we're just, we've spot, oopsie, watch out, there's a bump there. Okay, we're going down this way. We're now following up on where we've spotted the monkey in the tree, and we're looking at the direction that he's looking. He's still calling, but he's definitely looking towards the Gallagher pan. So that's where we're headed. All very exciting. And there's a little bush baby calling as well, a very high-pitched meow, meow. So let's go up here around the corner. That monkey is right up on the top of the tree, looking here towards this pan. So let's hope, and directly in front of us, we've also got a wall of rain.
Thank you, Ralph. These lions have done almost nothing since we left. I think all they've done is gotten a little bit closer to each other. And what we didn't notice earlier was that the one on the left is nowhere near as full as the one on the right, which is awesome. There must have been some squabble. Nsuku and Tino, and Nsuku is the one that's fuller. That one there, I remember seeing him earlier, and Tino is the one that did not get the impala, I suppose. It's possible that something was killed and they didn't share. That often happens if one individual is the one making the kill and it's small enough to defend, then it will go uncontested. And you see it quite often with lions when they feed. I think, Craig, you were with me when we followed the Unkuhumas off that night, eh? Yeah. From Bovosuk. You can even get a youngster that might grab a piece and move off, and anyone that tries to approach, there will be growls and snarls, and it's kind of like just like an unspoken rule. The others will just leave. They won't try and steal that little morsel or bone or leg or fillet or head or whatever it is that has been stolen. I kind of respect the toy. Those of you who were with me right in the beginning in January, when we had the Unkuhumas with those tortoises, I weren't giving them up. It's only when the one didn't, look the other way, they were stolen. Tom, I don't think there's really a leader in the pride. Invariably, coalitions are brothers. If they're not brothers, then they're similar-aged lions that have come together to form a coalition for the benefit of themselves. And there's no real leader. Just like I'm talking about food, what you'll see when it comes to mating, the first male to sort of spot or smell an estrus female, he's in charge of that female. There won't be any competition for her. I'm not saying the males won't follow him for days while he mates with that female, but invariably the first one to come across the female is sort of the one who will cover her. But there's no real leader. You might get different personalities in the pride. You might get different individuals that might instigate the fight or go in and attack another male before the others do, or whatever it might be. They might lead forward, but I've never really noticed a leader per se in a coalition of male lions. It's possible there is something like that, but it's nothing I've ever personally witnessed before. It just seems to be the one that gets there first, seems to be in charge of the day's play. And because they are assisting each other, there's like a gentleman's agreement between them. They don't want to fight physically. They do have scraps and little punch-ups, but it's nothing nearly as serious as proper fighting. Yes, well, there's always some form of sort of what we think to be real aggression, but what it is just being a lion, I mean, if you see a pride feeding, there's an enormous aggression showed between members while they're feeding, but they love each other. As soon as the meat is gone and the bloodlust is out of the nose, they go and lick each other and apologize for the noise they made. But that is part and parcel of being a lion. If they didn't do it, they wouldn't get to the sort of stage that they're at, the evolutionary stage that lions are at. They would be a weak species. So their competition, which is ingrained from, as I mentioned, I think in the school drive, from the suckling stage all the way up to dominance and male coalitions, is all very important from a sort of genetic point of view and moving forward. If there wasn't any fighting, there wouldn't be scraps. The lions wouldn't be as strong as they are. They wouldn't be able to fight as well as they do. And obviously, because these guys are a coalition, they need to keep their bonds together. When we first saw them, when Tino came and joined the other young gentleman, there was a bit of face rubbing, a very quick little face rub, but they often, as you can see, sleep really close to each other. They take comfort in each other's presence because as two, they are stronger than one, and as three, they are stronger than two. So they know that. They don't want to sort of get rid of the third musketeer, so to speak. So it's important for them to keep their bond strong. And yes, the fighting that we see, we might think is unbelievable, but in lion terms, it's really just part and parcel of being a lion. Well, in all honesty. Yes, we are indeed, and the minutes are counting down. And James had them calling in the last moments of drive the other day, but I think that was before we had the half an hour earlier shift. So I think they might be waiting for 6:15 South African time before they bellow out their calls. Hello, Lily, age 7. You want to know a very interesting question of whether these males returned because the evokers were calling, and I have no doubt that is what happened. They heard the challenge from a very long way away, and they came charging. Now, I'm wondering if there was more than 2, or if all 4 of them came up. They seem to spend a lot of time together, these cats. As I mentioned, the coalition is only as strong as its weakest link, and if they came up with just 2, maybe that's how confident they are. James was discussing it the other day on the Saturday show that these cats, these boys, have been in a lot of scraps. You can see it by their face, you can see it by just their entire attitude. They've seen a lot of action, and the evokers have come in with a little bit of arrogance, I would say, probably not having too many scraps. Their faces don't look too battle-scarred. And they've come in and they thought they've claimed a territory, and they have been calling. I don't know where they are at the moment. And these males have come back to try and oust the challengers. And I have no doubt that those of you who are watching the Dam Cam this evening, especially with the audio that it produces, will be listening closely to these boys as they wake up and announce their presence in Djuma. Because if you didn't know what Djuma meant, it is the roar of the lion. It's been a marvelous afternoon with the monkeys alarm calling to show us the way. We had planned to head to Chitwa for some action, and we only got a minute out of camp before hearing the monkeys. And as you know, I've told you my most reliable alarm call is monkeys and kudu or nyala. And there we go. We had the male lions coming in. It amazes me how far the monkeys saw them from. But from Brent and the walking team, they saw some amazing tracks and spiders. No other cats this afternoon from the tracker team or Ralph himself. But it has been a marvelous afternoon from everybody here. We've enjoyed the questions and the commentary. And thank you from FC and all of you at home. Please join us again early tomorrow morning for another show on Safari Live. Have a beautiful night. We'll see you then.